The person who sent this story said that the incident happened to his mother. The year was 1958. There was no trace of modern life in our village back then. At that time, the presence of evil jinns was quite common. This story is about my mother. I was born sometime after these events, and most of the details I heard from my family. My mother was a very pious woman. From a young age, she was under the influence of a jinn. That jinn would bring her fragrant flowers, various kinds of sweets, and sweet-smelling attar, perfume. When she was alone at home, it would try to force her to eat those sweets. The jinn wanted to marry her and take her to its world, but it never harmed her. My mother used to tell everyone about these incidents, so the jinn didn't come too close to her. Eventually, the matter stopped, and the jinn never returned. But that was only the beginning. Now comes the real story. Life was going well for my mother, but that peace didn't last. One day, the attention of a more evil entity fell upon her. A devilish jinn. At that time, my mother had just gotten married to my father. About a month later, one night she went outside near the road in front of the house to fetch water. While returning, she saw my father following her from behind up to the boundary of the house, but he didn't enter inside. Later, when my father came home, my mother asked him, "Why did you walk me home but didn't come inside? And why didn't you respond when I called you? Where did you go afterward?" Hearing this, my father replied, "I've been at the market since the afternoon. I didn't come home at all." This terrified my mother. Then who was the person she saw? She told this incident to my grandmother and others, but everyone dismissed it as her imagination. About a month passed. There was another thing. Behind our house, there was a madder tree leaning over a pond. One night, my mother went to the pond to wash dishes. There, she noticed a shadowy figure sitting on a branch of that tree, crying and saying, "Mother, save me. It will take me away. Please save me." My mother couldn't understand anything, but she was deeply frightened. She rushed back into the house and told everyone. Later, many others also heard that crying voice, but after a few days, it stopped. 2 years passed after that without any major incidents. However, small strange things continued to happen. If fish was fried in the outdoor kitchen, it would mysteriously disappear. The same thing happened with pitha, traditional cakes. Then, after those 2 years, a bigger problem appeared. My mother couldn't conceive a child. A year earlier, she had given birth to a baby boy, but he was born dead. There was no blood in his body, and his umbilical cord was torn. At first, the family accepted it as something natural. But when the same thing happened again the following year, it no longer felt normal. During pregnancy, my mother began to have terrible dreams. In those dreams, she would see a figure standing at a distance, holding a beautiful baby. As my mother approached, suddenly the figure would bite into the baby's head. Blood would gush out and splash onto my mother's face. She would wake up screaming. She kept having many such horrifying dreams. After this, my father called a Huzur religious healer to help. And this is where the real events begin. As soon as the Huzur entered the house, his face turned serious and dark. My father welcomed him respectfully and seated him inside. He asked for my mother's name. As soon as she told him, he closed his eyes and remained silent for a long time. Suddenly, he opened his eyes with a pale expression and said that great danger lay ahead. He then began describing every incident that had happened with my mother in detail. My father was left speechless, staring at him in shock, because my father had only told him that there was some kind of problem in the house. No one else, except my father and grandparents, knew the full details. So how did he know all this? The Huzur then said, "With the help of my jinns, I gather information. A group of evil jinns has set their eyes on your wife. They will not allow any child from your lineage to be born. They have already killed your 2 children." He continued, 3 years ago, they saw your wife near the canal by the road. They wanted to possess her, but they failed because of her strong faith. This made them furious, and they tried in many ways to frighten her, but nothing worked. So when your wife became pregnant and went near that pond, they couldn't harm her directly, so they took the life of the innocent child instead. In fact, whenever she stepped outside the boundary of the house, Those evil beings would drain the blood of your unborn children and kill them. The place where they live is across the canal in front of your house, in a dense bamboo grove. Do not worry. Trust in Almighty Allah. Everything will be fine." After saying this, the Huzur stopped. He gave some amulets, tabis, and recited the call to prayer, azan, around the house, spiritually sealing it. 12 years passed. It was now 1970. No more problems occurred. By then, we were 5 sisters and 4 brothers. I was the second child among all siblings. While raising their children, my parents almost forgot the incident that had happened years ago, but they never truly forgot the fear. At some point, my mother lost the amulet given by the Huzur. When they tried to find him again, they heard that he had passed away. They could not get another one from anyone else. Perhaps that was their biggest mistake. A few days later, we received an invitation from my aunt's house, my father's sister. It was decided that my 2 aunts, my mother, my 2 sisters, and my cousins would go. All of us were women, no men were with us. We prepared for the journey, cooking rice, duck, chicken, paleo, fried rice, and milk pudding. Then we set off for my aunt's house. Her house was located at the head of a canal, so we had to go by boat. Since it was a night invitation, we left after evening. As soon as we stepped out of the yard, my mother sensed something's presence. Immediately, she told all of us to recite prayers. While reciting, we got into the boat. The canal was right beside the road in front of our house. The water level was low, and the tide was going out. The current carried the boat past our home, through the fields, toward the neighboring village. From there, the canal curved toward the river. It was a moonlit night, and the natural beauty was mesmerizing. But my mother's face was filled with worry. She kept looking back, as if someone was following us. Her trance broke when the boat hit the shore. My uncle was standing there waiting. We got down, went to their house, and enjoyed the gathering and food. We left a bit late. By today's time, it would be around 11 or 11:30 p.m. As we boarded the boat again, we were already feeling uneasy. The night had grown darker, and the sky was covered with black clouds. Suddenly, the boat struck something. Looking down, we saw there was almost no water left. The tide had gone out. The boatman said, "The boat won't go any further. You'll have to walk." Looking around, we saw only vast fields. So we began walking along the canal bank. And from here, the final terror begins. My mother saw 4 or 5 black shadowy figures behind her. The moment she turned back, they vanished into thin air. Then we heard splashing sounds in the canal, as if fish were jumping violently. As we walked further, we reached a bamboo grove. Inside it, we noticed 4 or 5 pairs of glowing eyes. As we got closer, horrifying screams echoed from within. Though we were all terrified, my mother told us to keep reciting prayers. Suddenly, everything went silent. Then we looked back. Where was my mother? She was gone. We searched frantically and then found her lying far away on the canal bank. The sight froze our blood. The woman who was just walking beside us was now lying there, far away, motionless. We all carried her back home together. On the way, those evil beings kept trying to frighten us in different ways. We don't even clearly remember how we reached home, as if we were in a trance. Morning came. The eastern sky was lit by the first light of the sun. Slowly, my mother opened her eyes. We gave her some water and asked what had happened the previous night, how she ended up lying by the canal. In a terrified voice, she began to speak. When we were crossing the bamboo grove, it felt like the boatman was calling me. At first, I ignored it, but when I kept hearing the call again and again, I turned back. I saw the boatman struggling in the water. I thought I would call you all, but when I turned forward again, none of you were there. I started searching for you in fear. As I moved back, I saw many horrifying shadowy figures standing right in front of me. Before I could understand anything, they jumped on me. After that, I don't remember anything. My heart kept telling me that something might have followed us all the way home. We told everything to my father. He went to call village healers and Huzurs, but they were all away at a religious gathering, Ijtima. He said he would go to a nearby village to find someone else, but heavy rain prevented him from going. That night, my mother got up to go to the toilet. Everyone else was exhausted and asleep, as no one had slept the previous night. The toilet was located a bit far from the house, so my mother went there alone. But on her way back, suddenly, a terrifying figure jumped down from a tree right in front of her. The figure was much taller than a normal human, dressed in long black clothing. Its eyes were glowing like balls of fire, as if they would burst at any moment. Its mouth was torn wide, stretching up to its ears. At the sight of it, my mother's heart nearly stopped. Her horrifying scream woke all of us up. We searched everywhere and finally found her on top of the madder tree near the pond. She was unconscious. We brought her back home. As soon as she regained consciousness, she began vomiting blood. It felt as if all the blood in her body was coming out with it. The vomiting wouldn't stop. Blood kept flowing continuously. At that time, there were no proper means of communication. Taking her to a hospital was not possible. We could do nothing but watch. No child would ever want to see their mother in such a state. My younger siblings were crying uncontrollably, calling, "Mother, Mother!" We kept praying for her recovery. But just before dawn, near the time of far prayer, my mother collapsed onto the bed. Her body was becoming lifeless. We tried everything to keep her eyes open, but she left us forever. Life and death are in the hands of Allah. But may Allah never give such a death to anyone. May He bring justice to those evil beings on the day of judgment. What had my mother done? Why did they harm her like this? We grew up with grief and sorrow. Over time, we tried to forget, but the memory never truly left us. And with that, this horrifying chapter of our lives came to an end. Story 2. At that time, election campaigning was nothing like it is today. There was no Facebook or social media in village life. The only means of promotion was rallies from village to village and distributing the candidates' symbols. Rallies meant a different kind of joy. Drums, slogans, and crowds of villagers. Everything created a festive atmosphere. When a rally passed through the village, people from every house would come out and watch. For us children, it was the most exciting time. At different corners and neighborhoods of the village, temporary offices were set up for various candidates. Those places stayed lively till late with political discussions, chats, and tea snacks. From there, rallies would start in the afternoon, evening, or even at night. For kids like us, the biggest attraction was getting posters and symbols. After the rally, returning to the office, having tea and snacks, and receiving a bunch of posters, that was the greatest joy. We would take those posters to school and show them to our friends. Whoever had more posters felt more powerful. Sometimes we even made notebooks using those posters, picture on one page, writing on the other. So joining rallies and going around sticking posters on walls with the elders became almost an addiction for us. One day, the elders of the village told us, "Do a good rally today. There will be good food, and you'll get plenty of symbols." Tempted by the posters, we kids gathered in a big group. A little after the ASR prayer, around 25 to 30 of us boys set out together. The plan was to start from the office, pass through one neighborhood after another, and return back there. Chanting slogans together, we crossed one area after another and eventually reached the edge of the village. At the far end of our village, there was a place that everyone avoided. About half a kilometer away, on both sides there were two large ponds, and in the middle a huge graveyard. People from two nearby villages were buried there. Beside the graveyard ran a dirt road that stretched about 4 kilometers toward a distant valley. The surroundings were full of jungle, silence, and a strange atmosphere. Even during the daytime, said foxes would come and snatch chickens, even small goats. And as evening fell, their chilling howls would begin. Back then, there was hardly any electricity in the village. Only a couple of houses had lights. The rest remained in darkness. So after Maghrib, no one would usually go there. When we reached that spot, some of us said, "Let's go to those new houses and do the rally there too. We've covered the whole village. Why leave that part?" But immediately, a few others got scared and said, "No, we shouldn't go there. There's a graveyard." Then some of the braver boys said, "If you're scared, "Don't come, we're going." They added, "Those who want to come, come this way, and those who don't, just go home. Later we'll all meet at the office, have tea, and collect the symbols." Just then, the Maghrib call to prayer echoed through the air. I was already feeling a bit uneasy, and thinking about getting scolded at home for being late. I decided not to go with them and started walking back. A few others like me also returned home, while 8 or 9 of them bravely moved toward the graveyard, continuing the rally. After coming home, I had my meal and waited for them. I thought when they came, we would go together to collect the symbols and have tea and snacks. Hours passed like this, but no one came to call me. Later, after getting scolded by my mother, I went to sleep, thinking I would go and get the posters the next morning. Around 9 in the morning, as I was heading toward the office from home, I ran into another friend. Seeing me, he said, "Hey, so you guys collected the symbols last night without me? Why didn't you call me?" Hearing this, I said, "No one came to call me either." Then both of us got upset at the others and said they must have left us out and did everything on their own. When we reached the office, an elder said, "Why didn't any of you come last night? There was a good food arrangement, and we kept a lot of symbols for you. You all missed it." Both of us were shocked. That meant none of them had come either. Then we said, "Let's go and check on the others. Why didn't they come?" We went to one friend's house and heard that he had a fever and hadn't woken up. Then we went to another friend's house. He also had a fever and hadn't gotten up. Going to a few more houses, we saw the same thing. They all had fevers. They weren't saying much either. Whether it was fear or something else, they stayed silent. Then we went to another house and saw one of them lying on the veranda with a fever, speaking a little. Just then, an uncle came and, seeing my sick friend, said, "What happened? You have a fever. What about the others?" We said, "They all have fevers too. We just checked." Hearing this, the uncle seemed a bit alarmed and said to my friend, "Tell the truth. What happened on that bridge last night? Why were you all screaming?" We were shocked to hear that. Then my friend began to speak. "After you all went home, we went toward those houses near the pond. Crossing the graveyard, we reached the last house. By then, we were all exhausted, so we thought we would sit on the bridge for a while and rest before going back. At that time, the house owner uncle scolded us in an angry tone and said, 'Why have you come here? Doing a rally at this hour? Go home quickly. This place is not good.' Then he went back inside his house. But we didn't listen to him and went to the bridge to sit and get some fresh air. At that time, there was still a little bit of twilight around us, so we didn't feel afraid. We had no thoughts about anything paranormal, because we didn't even understand such things back then. But within 10 to 15 minutes, everything around us turned pitch dark. A light breeze was blowing. Then suddenly, we all felt a cold wind coming from the north. We looked around to see what could be causing such cold air, but due to the darkness, we couldn't see anything. Then we started hearing a metallic sound like iron striking iron, or like something being scraped repeatedly. We looked around but saw nothing. Suddenly, far away, we noticed a bright white light, brighter than daylight, but we couldn't understand what kind of light it was. Then, about 200 yards away from us, we saw another similar glowing light. We all stared in that direction. Then we noticed something. A figure like an old woman sitting by the roadside with her back toward us, doing something. And from that direction, that distant light was slowly moving closer. As the light slowly came closer to where the old woman was, we saw a bright white cow. There was also an old man wearing a beautiful white robe. He was holding a rope tied to the cow's neck and grazing it. When the old man came near the old woman, we saw that the woman was cutting betel nut. Then we realized that the sound we had been hearing all this time was coming from her. The cow they had was unbelievably beautiful. The old man gestured to the old woman, asking for some betel. The woman handed him some freshly cut betel. The old man took it, put it in his mouth and started chewing. Then the old man and woman began talking, but we couldn't hear what they were saying. After that, the old woman took out a spindle from a bundle and began spinning thread. Meanwhile, the cow was calmly grazing on the roadside. Seeing all this, we were terrified. Sweat was pouring down our bodies. We clung to each other in fear, staring at them as they continued their activities and conversation. Everything was going on normally, until suddenly, both the old man and woman turned and looked directly at us. Our eyes met theirs. We held onto each other tightly, trembling in fear. Then the old man let out a horrifying laugh. We couldn't take it anymore. We screamed, shut our eyes, and started crying. Suddenly, we felt someone's hand on our shoulders. We screamed again. Then we heard a voice scolding us. "Didn't I tell you to go home? You're still here? You've become very brave, haven't you? Don't you listen to your elders?" Then we realized it was the uncle from that house. We slowly turned back and saw him standing there, holding a hurricane lantern in one hand, looking at us angrily. Without saying much, he took us toward his house. Out of fear, we looked back again toward where the old man and woman had been, but there was nothing there. Everything was pitch dark. Only the sound of crickets could be heard. Just moments ago, that place had been brighter than daylight with a glowing white light, and now nothing. Even in our fear, we were stunned, wondering what had just happened to us. At the uncle's house, he made a torch by wrapping cloth around the end of a long rod, soaking it with kerosene, and lighting it. Then he escorted us across the graveyard and a bit toward the village, saying, "Go now, you'll be fine. Don't be afraid. I'll come see you in the morning." The 9 of us returned to the village and went to our respective homes. As soon as I got home, I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up with a very high fever, and then you all and the uncle came. After saying this, my friend fell silent. It really was the same uncle from the house near the graveyard. Then the uncle said, "After I met you all in the evening, I was resting in my room. Suddenly, I heard crying. When I came out with my lantern, I heard the sound coming from the bridge. When I got closer, I saw you all crying in the dim light. I thought you were just scared, so I didn't ask anything. I was worried you might get more frightened, so I gave you a torch and sent you back to the village." The uncle then told us to call the mosque's Huzur, religious leader. By then, the whole village had heard the news. It was also reported that all 9 of those who had been there that night had the same condition, high fever after returning home. The Huzur came, performed spiritual healing rituals, gave blessed water, and said, "Those were Jinn. They were good, so they didn't harm you." Within 2 to 3 days, everyone recovered. After that, none of us ever joined such processions again. As time passed, we grew up. After finishing school and college, now we study at Dhaka University. And just like that, those election processions faded away from our lives. The childhood excitement, the thrill of collecting posters, staying up at night, and taking part in rallies no longer exists. It was truly a remarkable incident.